Okay, so I'm really excited to talk about this. I understand about like a tenth of it, and that's being generous. But there's so many things I want to talk about. Did you see today that they announced that they're coming out with
the new
poly?
It looks awesome.
It looks cool.
Yeah,
right?
it looks
and this
really
is
good.
The mono, though, right?
That's the mono.
Okay.
Yeah, and this one is like, it's very reasonably priced.
Totally.
And it is very powerful for what it can do. But yeah, it is straight up like a mono lead bass synth. But it has a built-in sequencer, and it does have the ability to make somewhat like softer, nicer sounds.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like it's not a poly synth.
Right.
And I actually personally don't own any poly synths. It's like the one thing that I definitely should add.
Yeah.
Luckily, Ewan has a couple things upstairs. Like he has an OB6 desktop.
Right.
So I've borrowed that for a couple sessions.
Oh, that's cool.
And I have like a Casio that has some like sort of cheesy in a cool way string and paddy sounds.
The thing is, though, I mean, once you get this into a delay, or you do one pass and then you do another pass, then all of a sudden it's poly.
You can definitely, like, I find, like, effects in general can really open up a very basic sound.
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, something like the Micro Brute, like, it's the most...
This is mono, too?
That's mono as well,
Okay.
and it's like, you know, I find just on its own, it's not the most interesting sounding synth, but yeah, running it through, like, a nice modulated reverb, or, like, using, like, pitch effects, you can definitely, like, layer the sound a bit more. And yeah, I guess, like, I don't, for my own music personally, I don't use a lot of, like, denser, slightly, I guess, like, a lot of the sounds that a poly can make, like strings and stuff like that, and pads. And if I am working with somebody that, like, wants that, a lot of times they usually own something. They have a Juno or something like that. So yeah.
Well, and depending on what type of role it plays in the mix too, like there's patches for that. There's free Juno
for
stuff.
Sure.
And
there's also like an amazing, like the two sort of main guys that do like synth repairs, Since When.
Okay.
They're just up the road. And Jay and Brock, like they're the kind of like go-to for fixing stuff. But that now they've actually, they each between them have like a very awesome collection of like synths and drum machines.
Oh, okay.
So if I am in a session where like someone's like, oh, I want like a Jupiter 6 or something, it's like they have that stuff.
Nice.
You can just rent it for the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, you would have some stuff that we can share.
So before we get into this, a lot of this stuff, I want to talk about this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I saw you post this online, and tell me if this has ever happened to you. I'm sure it's happened to the peeps at home, but somebody posts something online, and you're like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
Then you go to their website, and then you get obsessed with everything.
Yeah.
And then you start looking around, what can I sell to be able to afford that?
Totally.
You know? So I saw their Jekyll and Hyde, which is like a stereo.
Oh,
it's
is it
a stereo
stereo
processor? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was stereo.
They have somebody putting in like a drum bus into it.
Oh,
and just
amazing.
destroying it. And like the labels on every VU that he has is different.
Yeah, yeah.
So how did you find out about these guys? This is, by the way, sorry, people get upset when I don't say what it is. But this is Retro Mechanical Labs. Okay, and you have the...
It's the CV Euro, but it's the standalone one. Okay. I don't know if that's the right name for it, but it's basically, they have a Eurorack version that goes right into your rack. Okay. And then, you can also get it as a standalone box with like an on switch, and then it has like the ×1000 distortion switch. I got the standalone mostly because I could take it around with me.
Can it be used as a guitar pedal? Or?
It can, but it's 1/8 inch in and out. So like I mean, when I've started getting more heavily into the Eurorack stuff, I had made like a bunch of these. Me and my friend Mike, he had built. We had built these Nutric mono quarter to mini jack.
And that works fine.
That works fine.
Great.
Or like, I mean, sometimes I'm lazy and I just use like headphone adapters. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you could totally use it as a guitar effects. But I mostly got it to use to process synths and drums. Right. So yeah, it's like a distortion with a built-in oscillator. It's sort of like, the only thing I could really say that it reminds me of is like a Fuzz Factory, because it has the built-in oscillator. Right. But a little bit more options as far as like processing. Like there's also a bleed out, so you can either have like 100% just the distortion,
bleed out.
Yeah, or you can like mix a bit of the dry signal back.
Oh, okay.
And then with these, all what gets deep with the Urx stuff is like all this, not all of it, but a lot of it is CV-able.
Right. Okay.
So you can just get like slightly interesting, you know, rhythmic things happening with the distortion.
Yeah.
I find I don't really CV distortion a lot, but it's just a nice thing to have.
Right. How did you find out about retro?
It was I think like when I got really obsessed with pedals for a couple years. Like it was just sort of like all that I was like interested in, and because of that, I sort of started finding a lot of these like, you know, smaller companies. Some of them are big now. Like I remember like, you know, buying like Earthquaker devices, and that was like a very new sort of like, they only had a few pedals, and some of them are a lot bigger now, but this one just sort of popped in like my Instagram world, and just I was just like, man, the aesthetic of it is just so cool. Like it looks like an old you know, tube comp or something like that.
Yeah.
And then
it's like you have to believe in aliens to use these.
Totally. And then in the last while, you know, he was mostly posting it as like guitar effects and stuff, and then he recently got like a drum machine, and then maybe or something like that, and then started getting into Euro and started like sending a lot of that stuff in it, and I just it just sounded so good.
That's great. Yeah, I just kind of went through his whole site, and a lot of people have some demos of the different stuff it can do. And
for sure.
I like when a unit, to me it reminds me a lot of the Fairfield circuitry. I don't know if you have any of those guys. You know, the Quebec pedals?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It reminds me of that, where it's like, first of all, none of the knobs make sense.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to describe what they do.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like all the knobs on this thing, if you, it's like the opposite. A lot of them, like the more it is, it's all to the left.
Oh, okay.
I'm still kind of getting used to it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I love stuff that just has a mind of its own.
Yeah, for sure.